Hello, so this is vlog number two, talking about chapter seven. And so, first, I wanted to discuss the escape from the Matrix aspect of the chapter. And the passage talked about the fear of missing out. And that's kind of the concept that I took the most out of it. And kind of the idea that anxiety that others are having um are more rewarding experience than we are, that kind of FOMO idea, the fear of missing out, and how social media's constant access to information has like intensified these feelings, making people worry about missing out on opportunities, events, connections, and research suggests that FOMO is especially common among young people and is linked to unmet psychological needs. And ultimately, accepting that we will inevitably miss out on some experiences, um, that idea can improve our well being and reduce the stress caused by FOMO. And so, my take on this is that I actually find it super fascinating that it's among young people because I feel also that FOMO doesn't always necessarily fall among just younger generations and their fear of missing out through social media. I feel that it also happens a lot with older generations as well. In fact, maybe even more with older generations, because the whole concept of FOMO, I feel like kind of derives from the idea of what is called a midlife crisis, where older individuals feel the need to have this fear of getting older and not being able to attend to their youthful side that they might feel internally. And so they're missing out on these opportunities that maybe they didn't experience when they were younger. And so even though the text talks about how this is intensified through the youth through social media, and although I do very agree with that statement, I think that it's also a little bit misleading on how it also can affect older generations as well. And so that was just my personal thoughts on the whole idea of FOMO. And I feel like FOMO is something that's just kind of rebranded of the midlife crisis. And I feel this is something that we could experience at all ages. Um, and I really do agree with the idea of it being something that is unmet by our psychological needs. And I find that most people that are very secure with themselves tend to not experience as much FOMO because they enjoy their own personal experience. And not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm one of those people where my friends will go out and I just don't feel that crave to go out because I really like being by myself and I enjoy that. And although I do need from time to time that social interaction, it's super important to have. And even at times when I don't feel like interacting, I'll still do it because it's super important for, again, psychological needs and socialization and such. But I feel when you really enjoy your own presence and enjoy your own company, that you might not experience FOMO as much. So the fact that it's something that's it correlates with an unmet need, I feel that that explains it very well. But then again, my opinion with the age group within FOMO, I kind of disagree with that because again, the whole spiel about what a midlife crisis really is, I feel that that's kind of that reverting back. Secondly, the chapter also talks about violent media is good for kids. This was another concept that I thought was very interesting, especially because the sub-chapter title under the chapter 7, violent media is good for kids. It's like, wow, it's very out there. And so this part of the chapter goes into how stories are not about escaping reality, but it's about transforming and imagination. And the author recalls a childhood ethics class in which his teacher warned that comic books encouraged dangerous fantasies, using examples of a boy who believed he could fly like Superman. And when I read that, the first thing I thought of was that Matilda scene where the Trunchbull threw the girl out the window. It's like, oh my gosh, you know? And so, on top of that, superhero costumes, it talks about how it symbolizes transformation and identity rather than simply concealing a hero's face. And although costumes appear to hide the superhero's identity, it actually reveals who the hero is and their personal story, including their struggles, their origins, rebirth, symbols, and everything of that nature. And I thought that was a very interesting concept where in society now we feel the need to really expose ourselves and reveal ourselves in order to be seen. And the superhero hides behind a costume, yet that is their true identity and their true form, where they're helping people and they're not really concealing themselves, but they're giving back in a way where it's more anonymous. And that made me think about a lot of social media posts lately that I've seen online where a lot of people will record when they're helping someone else out, such as a homeless person or donating to charity. And they tend to record this and post it back on TikTok to show the world that they're doing good deeds and to encourage other people to do good deeds. And although the intentions might be very good behind this, I feel that it really takes away from the character and the true kindness behind the intention of doing something good, where you feel the need to announce it to everybody. And if it's not announced, then the world thinks that you're not doing good enough, or etc. And that's kind of falls into the idea of social media again. And I really like the idea that chapter 7 brought in about how um, rather than simply concealing the hero, it's bringing out a different side of their identity. And I feel that this is something that we need to hone into a little bit more, just because everything is very out there and it's okay to do good things in private and not announce it to the world. In fact, I think that's almost more commemorable because you're not looking for that gratification. And leading into gratification, The Secret Skin, an essay in unitary theory, that portion of chapter 7, again, it kind of talks about that superhero concept. It goes into that deep dive of gratification and that through imagination, these kind of superheroes transform themselves and their ordinary surroundings into the worlds of adventure is completely changed and this is brought out of them. The author kind of concludes this by saying that superhero stories invite people to embrace their hidden potential within themselves, showing that transformation begins with imagination. And again, I think that kind of ties into my point of that gratification of posting things online. And this is something that I think our media needs to change. Um, and although scholars have proposed many explanations for Superman's popularity, which is one of the key concepts that was talked about with Superman, um, the author emphasizes that the character's true power lies in storytelling and imagination. And I thought that was a very beautiful concept, um, very rewarding to hear, and I think it calls for a lot of self-reflection and what our society is putting out there. And again, tying back into some of the concepts that we've already learned about rhetoric. What are we pushing forth, and what is the rhetoric that's being portrayed to us? Um, and again, super powerful line that the power lies in storytelling and imagination. And so that is all that I have for today, and those are some of the concepts and my thoughts on chapter 7. Thank you for listening.